Doctrine chapter 5, we're going to talk about the doctrine of the fall of man. It comes from Genesis chapter 3. It says, the serpent said to the woman, Eve, he said, did God actually say you shall not eat of any of the tree in the garden? And he convinced her to do it. It says, so when the woman saw that the tree was good for food and it was a delight to the eyes and that the tree was to be desired to make one wise, she took of its fruit and ate. She also gave some to her husband who was with her, and he ate. And so we notice some things. The authors point this out. Satan deceived Eve, so she chose her way instead of God's way. That's a fundamental aspect of sin, is choosing your way over God's way. Adam failed to lead. He should have led her. He shouldn't have done the same thing. And then afterward, they tried to cover it up together. In fact, Adam didn't repent when God confronted him later in that chapter, but instead he argued with God and he blamed God. In fact, just said, hey, it's your fault. You're the one who gave me the woman. Now, the authors, I love this paragraph in the Kindle location 2925 when they describe the descent into sin. Let's read that together. As a result of the fall, the descent into sin has continued unabated ever since. A respect for authority was replaced by rebellion. A clear conscience was replaced by guilt and shame. Blessing was replaced by physical, spiritual, and eternal punishment. Viewing God as a friend to walk with was replaced by viewing him as an enemy to hide from. Trust was replaced by fear. Love was replaced by indifference and even hatred. Intimacy with God was replaced by separation from God. Freedom to obey God was replaced by enslavement to sin. Honesty replaced with lying and deceit. Self-sacrifice replaced with self-centeredness. Peace was replaced by restlessness. Responsibility was replaced by blaming. Authenticity was replaced by hiding. What a great way to describe sin. But the authors go on and say that defining it is actually fairly difficult, but there are many aspects described in the Old Testament and the New Testament. Sin is relational breach. It's a social matter. It's covenantal rebellion against God and his authority. It's a legal transgression that results in guilt and necessitates punishment. It results in ritual uncleanness and pollution and filth. It includes emotional pain and accumulating burden, whereby sin is piled up from one generation to the next. It is spoken of with the finality of death. And then in the New Testament, it's called hamartia, which means missing the mark. It also speaks of crossing a line, whether intentionally or unintentionally. It refers to evil intent, and it refers to rebellion. So sin is a big concept, and we are all affected by it. That is part of the doctrine of the fall. Now, I'm going to skip to the end just for a minute so that we can understand the fall in relationship to the last chapter, the image. They write this: when we understand our sin biblically, we understand why we are prone to great evil and know why the world is not the way it should be. But on the other hand, by knowing that God made us in his image and likeness, we find the source of our dignity, value, and identity. I think it's important to look at both of those doctrines together. I like that we are getting them one after the other in these two chapters. And so before we go on to the next video, why don't you pause and talk about some of this, and we'll see you in the next video.